We think of culture in human terms. We think of our food, our music, our clothes, our religion. We think of culture as the way we're raised, the things we learn from our parents, the trends that spread through our friend group. Culture shapes so many different aspects of our lives. It's everywhere. From the most mundane things like choosing to eat with a fork or chopstick, to the intricacies of global relations. Culture makes us act weird from an evolutionary standpoint. It's the reason why people went from listening to Bach to the Beatles, and why others spend hours in the morning to put their hair a certain way. Cultural trends can spread like wildfire, or be maintained as tradition for centuries. Culture is fast and slow, predictable and unpredictable. My family's from a very small town tucked away in the mountains of rural Quebec. We speak French, we kiss to say hello, we eat crepes, we kiss to say goodbye. And even though Tom Hanks is one of my favorite actors, I had no idea he was in Toy Stories until my late 20s. But since then, I've had the chance to travel and meet people from a lot of different cultural backgrounds. And from this, I've been able to witness cultural differences firsthand. And I'm sure you have too. But my interest with culture does not stop with humans. I'm not an anthropologist. I'm a biologist. And I study culture in whales. Because humans are not the only one with culture. In fact, more and more evidence suggests that culture is much more widespread than we previously assumed. Other great apes, like chimpanzees, orangutan, and gorillas, have culture. Monkeys have culture. Dolphins have culture. Whales, ungulates, bats, fish, rodent, insects have culture too. And that's what we know now. Every year we add to this evidence. Those animals learn from each other. They spread information in their communities. And that becomes really obvious once you get to spend time with them. Now picture yourself in the crystal clear water of the Eastern Caribbean. And no, you're not on a sandy beach sipping at a margarita. You're on a sailboat, 10 nautical miles offshore, and water as deep as 2 to 3 kilometers. And you're surrounded by sperm whales. Now sperm whales are not like dolphins. They don't make whistles. Instead, they use patterns of click to communicate with each other, not unlike our Morse code. And they get very creative with them. But what's really interesting about those clicks is that depending on which group of sperm whale is in a certain area, you'll hear totally different clicks. Because sperm whales from different cultural groups use different patterns of clicks. In the Eastern Caribbean, we documented 3 different cultural groups of sperm whales. We call them clans. And not unlike ethnic groups in humans, clans of sperm whale can include hundreds to thousands of individuals. Now, being part of a clan doesn't mean that you'll get to meet all those other individuals. But instead, for the sperm whales, it means that you'll only associate with members of your own clan. In over 15 years of research in the Eastern Caribbean, researchers have only rarely witnessed whales from different clans in the same area on the same day. Now, us humans aren't exempt from this behavior. People tend to associate with members of their own cultural group, whether that cultural group is ethnic or related to your interests, such as sports you play, your hobbies, or your career. In French, we have this expression, nous autres, which literally translates as us, others. An expression that really amplifies this divide between the people we consider part of our own cultural group and others. Ils sont pas comme nous autres. They're not like us. As ugly as it can be at times, segregation is part of culture. And the same might be true for sperm whales. Through their use of pattern clicks, the whales might be able to tell whether a new individual is part of their own culture or not, and then choose to associate or not with them. Now, why should we care that animals have culture? Why should we care that in the Eastern Caribbean, the population of sperm whale is divided into cultural groups that I call clans? It's interesting, at least I think so. But why should we care? This is why we should care. Because being part of a cultural group often has ramifications much beyond the use of a certain dialect. People from different cultures have different languages, but they might also dress differently, cook differently, harvest the land in different ways, and organize their societies according to different standards. It's often a package deal to be part of a culture. And the same might be true for the sperm whales. Sperm whales from different clans have different whale dialects, but they're also distributed differently across the Eastern Caribbean islands. Whales from different clans move differently in the ocean. They organize their societies differently. In the Eastern Tropical Pacific, whales from different clans reacted differently to extreme weather events like El Nino. Clans come up with different strategies to deal with hardships. Maybe a clan has a good strategy and they thrive, but another clan might come up with a bad strategy and suffer. In this case, cultural diversity might be as important as genetic diversity. We need to protect clans independently so that they can all come up with their own strategies and survive. We need to see beyond population stocks to acknowledge that individuals that share an environment might be fundamentally different culturally. That if we halve the number of clans in an area, we halve our chances of the population as a whole to survive. Cultural diversity is what makes us humans strong. It's the reason why we can survive from the poles to the deserts, the coasts to the mountains. And in the same way, chimpanzees or sperm whales or any other animal's cultural diversity is what allows them to survive and thrive as a species. Culture is what makes human human, and what makes sperm whales sperm whales. In a world that is changing at a faster and faster pace, where the natural environment is struggling to keep up with human civilization, perhaps it's time for us, humans, to recognize that we're not as unique as we like to think, but that other species, like the sperm whales, share what we long considered our own: culture. Thank you.